How's it going, North Beach kids? What have you guys been up to? It's been a while lately. Well, I was just at the bottom of the ocean. I made some friends with some pretty cool fish. Met a really nice jellyfish, a whale shark. He was a cool guy. But I made some really good friends with hermit crabs. And while I was down there, they told me this really cool story about what happened to one of their friends when they got bigger. And what I didn't know was that when hermit crabs grow up, they get too big for their shells because they don't grow with them, and so they need to go and find new ones. And my friend decided to tell me this story that I think you guys are going to enjoy. Here we go. It's time to move, said Hermit Crab one day in January. I've grown too big for this little shell. He had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug. And Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and onto the floor of the ocean. But it was frightening out in the ocean without a shell to hide in. But what if a big fish comes along and attacks me, he thought. I have to find a new home soon. Then early in February, Hermit Crab found just the house he was looking for. It was a big shell and strong. He moved right in, wriggling and raggling all about inside to see how it felt. And it felt just right. But looks well a little too boring, thought Hermit Crab. And then came March. Hermit Crab met some sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water. How beautiful you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and live in my house? It's so plain it needs you. I'll come, whispered a small sea anemone, and gently Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his shell. In April, the month we're in now, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish moving slowly along the seafloor. How handsome you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house? I would, signaled a little sea star, and carefully Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his house. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some coral, and they were hard and didn't move. But how pretty you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to help make my house more beautiful? I would, creaked a crusty coral. Gingerly, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. Then came June. Hermit Crab came up to a group of snails crawling over a rock on the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and bits of debris, and leaving a neat little path right behind them. How tidy and hard-working you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and help clean my house? Sounds like a good idea. I would, offered one of the snails. Happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. In July, Hermit Crab came upon several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. How fierce you look, Hermit Crab said. Would one of you be willing to protect my house? I would, answered a spiky sea urchin. And gratefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it near his shell. Then it was August already. Hermit Crab and his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. It's so dark in here, thought Hermit Crab. How dim it is, murmured the sea anemone. And how gloomy it is, whispered the starfish. How murky, complained the coral. I can't see, said the snail. It's like a nightmare, cried the sea urchin. Then it was September. Hermit Crab spotted a school of lanternfish darting through the dark water. How bright you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to light up my house? I would, replied one of the lanternfish, and it swam over near the shell. Then it was October. Hermit Crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles and said, You look pretty sturdy, said Hermit Crab. Would you mind if I rearranged you? Not at all, answered the pebbles. Hermit Crab picked them up one by one with his claw and built a wall around his shell. Now my house is perfect, cheered Hermit Crab. But in November, Hermit Crab felt that his shell seemed a little bit too small. Little by little, over the year, Hermit Crab had grown. Soon he would have to find another bigger home. But he had come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, and the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. They've been so good to me, thought Hermit Crab. They're like a family. How can I ever leave them? Then it was December. A smaller hermit crab passed by and said, I've outgrown my shells, she said. Would you know of a place I could live in? I have outgrown my house too, answered Hermit Crab, and I must move on. And you're welcome to live here. But you must promise to be good to my friends. And the little crab promised. The following January, a couple months ago, Hermit Crab stepped out, and the little crab moved in. Couldn't stay in that little shell forever, said Hermit Crab as he waved goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he had remembered, but Hermit Crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house, a big empty shell, and it looked, well, a little boring, but sponges, he thought. Barnacles, clownfish, sand dollars, electric eels. Oh, there's so many possibilities, and I just can't wait to get started decorating it. And so he went on to have a really cool looking shell, I thought. And he's still out there in the ocean today, and maybe one day you can say hello to him. Now it's time I leave and find you guys a brand new story to tell. See you guys later.